Hello, 8th grade. Welcome to lesson 72, learning about workbook and worksheet basics. So our learning outcomes are learn about workbooks, worksheets, and worksheet parts, open and close Excel, open, save, and close a workbook, move around in a worksheet, align and enter labels and values, and view and print grid lines and headings. So you're going to be working in Excel, which is a popular spreadsheet program. In Excel, a spreadsheet file is called a workbook. Each workbook contains more worksheets, usually with related data. Worksheets can be added to a workbook. Worksheets also can be deleted from a workbook. A worksheet contains columns, rows, and cells. Columns run up and down a worksheet. Okay, so columns are like the things that are labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, and so forth. And those are called the column headings. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, on and on. Those are the column headings. And rows run across a worksheet. So each row has a column heading, which is a number. So rows go across and they are labeled by these numbers. The row headings run down the left side of the worksheet. A cell is formed where a column and row cross. So for instance, right now, this picture highlights cell A1. It's where a column and a row meet. And you can also see that it's labeled A1 right here in the name box. You need to know that a name box identifies the active cell by letter and column and the number of row it intersects. It also identifies the range of cells being selected. We also have the formula bar right here. The formula bar displays the contents of the active cell and is used to create or edit text or values. Let's see. We also have the active cell, which is highlighted with a thick border. It stores information that is entered while the cell is active. And then we have the different columns, as you can see. We already talked about that, and rows that go up and down. Down here at the bottom, we see different worksheet tabs. So right now this worksheet only has one tab. Oops, let's go back. And the plus sign right here is where you can add new worksheets. And then we have scroll bars where you can scroll from left to right. Okay, so it says right here to start Word, and we are going to open up the document. I'm just going to use my file locator here. We're going to open up out of our data files. Let's go to keyboarding 8. 72 DF72A. Okay. And it says to complete the activity as directed. All right, so here says to key the number from the illustration to the left of the worksheet window part that is represented. So for instance, you would figure out where all of these things are located and you would type in the number. So if I thought the active cell was number 1, I would type a 1 right here. Okay, and then when you're done, you're going to save it as 72A worksheet in your Chapter 11 folder, and then save it and close out. Okay, so that's how you do 72A. I'm going to not save it for now. 72B says to open and close Excel and open and save a workbook. So says the Excel spreadsheet software is opened and closed in the same manner that you open and close Word and PowerPoint software in preceding chapters. Likewise, new and existing workbooks are open, saved, and closed the same way as Word and preceding documents and presentation slideshows. So you can either click on Excel over here, or sometimes I think it's fast if you have Excel hidden to type it in the Cortana bar. And then it says to open up a blank workbook, so we'll click on blank worksheet. Okay, and you can kind of play around here, looking at the name bar, the formula bar, seeing how it changes when we type in different names into or when we click in different cells, how the name box changes. So it says in a new workbook opens with cell A1, the cell address active in sheet 1. It says to key your first name in A1. So my first name is Leah, so I'll key that in. And then it says to save the workbook as 72B first. So we're going to go to File, Save As. You know what, I'm going to go here. Ooh, let's go back. Let's find our Keyboarding 8 folder. And we're going to save this in our Chapter 11 folder as 72B first. Okay. And then it says open the workbook DF72B last. So we're going to go File, Open. Let's go. I'm going to go down here. Data Files, 72B last. Alright, so once we have 72B last open, you're going to key your last name in cell A1. And then save the worksheet as 72B last and close it. So save as, go to your Chapter 11 folder, 72B last, and save. And then it says to close Excel. Alright. It says now we're going to open, let's see, move around in a worksheet. So when you enter information in a worksheet, it is placed in the active cell. The active cell is the current location of the intersection point. Okay. So in this instance, the active cell would be C4, and you can see it is in the name box. Thus, the active cell changes when you move the insertion point from cell to cell. You can identify the active cell by looking at its border. The active cell is the cell with the thick border around it. To activate or select a cell with the mouse, move the pointer to the desired cell and click the mouse. You also can use the up arrows and the tab and enter keys to activate a different cell. To move from one cell to another quickly, you can use the keyboard shortcuts. For example, to move to the first cell in a row and make it the active cell, tap the home. To move to cell A1, or press Control plus home. To move to the active cell up one page, tap the Page Up button. In this activity, you will practice moving around a worksheet using the mouse and the keyboard. So it says to open a new workbook. So we're just going to go in and open up a new blank workbook. Okay, and it says to click in cell C4 to select it. Cell C4 is now the active cell. Note that the active cell address appears in the name box. Okay, so C4 appears right here in the name box. And I'm turning my page 354, step 2. It says to move the mouse to cell A12 to make A12 active. Use the mouse to make cell B24 active. Okay. You may need to use the scroll bar to display the area you want. now it says to use the arrow keys to make cell D11 active. So I'm using my arrow keys. I'm going to go over one and then up to D11. Use the arrow key to make F30 active. So I'm using my arrow keys. And then it says use the arrow keys to make cell P30 active. So I'm just tapping the right arrow key. Next, I'm going to use the page down arrow key. So page down is above the arrow keys. It's kind of like where the insert home, page up, delete, and end is. I'm going to press the delete down or page down. Okay, and then I've hit it twice, and then I'm going to go to J100. There we go. Sometimes it's actually quicker to use the keyboard rather than moving your hand to use the mouse. It saves some time by using these different keys. Next, we're going to use the page up button to make cell L40 active. So I'm going to hit page up again. Well, let's go page down. And then we're going to go to L40 right there. Next it says to tap the F5 key found in the row of function keys at the top of the keyboard. So let's tap F5. Okay, it brings up the Go To dialog box, and we're going to type H100 in the reference box and then click OK. So now H100 should be the active cell. We're going to tap Control Home to make cell A1 active, and then tap the tab key once to make cell B1 active. So hit the tab key and it moves your cells to the right. It says to tap the enter key to make A2 active. Okay, and then we're going to close the workbook without saving it. Alright, next is going to be talking about entering data and aligning labels and values. Alright, so data keyed into a cell is automatically assigned a label or value status. When only numbers are keyed into a cell, the value status is assigned and the data is right aligned. Okay, when letters and or symbols with or without numbers are keyed into a cell, the label status is assigned and is assigned left aligned numbers. So when you type in letters or labels is what they're called in Excel. So like Susan here would be a label and Deanne would be a label, female would be a label. Those are all left aligned by default, and values, which would be like column D's and F's, those are right aligned because they are numbers, so they're considered a value. So to record in the data entered, tap the tab or enter key. You also can click the enter icon on the formula bar to record the data. The enter icon is shown in figure 11.3. Okay, so here's the enter icon. It's like a check mark. If you want to change the alignment that was automatically assigned to the label and values, use the desired alignment option in the alignment group on the Home tab. If you make a mistake when entering data, use the delete or backspace key to remove the text or numbers. If you find an error after you have left a cell, select that cell that has an error and key the correct data and tap tab or enter. The new data you keyed will replace the arrow. You might begin keying data and then want to stop, perhaps because you realize you are in the wrong cell. To cancel data entry, press the escape key before tapping tab or enter. You also can click the cancel icon in the formula bar to cancel the data entry. So the cancel icon is this X right here. All right. So we're going to open up a new blank workbook again. All right, and it says to go to cell A4. So I'm just going to use my arrow key and begin keying the data as shown in cells A4 through C10. Notice that the text in column A is left aligned and the numbers in column B and C are right aligned. So the best way to type this in is to use the tab key. Also, what we can do is we can highlight this area or select the range, and as I type, for instance, and I hit tab, and then I use my keypad to type in these numbers, it saves me a little bit of time. So when I hit tab 7, Barb, tab 24680, tab 7, tab Connie. It goes rather quick if you use the keypad and the tab key. Dora, tab 25814, tab 8. Eve 97532, tab 7, tab Flora, tab 86420, tab 7, tab Grace 63074, tab and 8. Okay. Alrighty, so it's better to work across than to go up and down when you're entering in data. We'll save the workbook as, in our chapter 11 folder, as 72D data. Okay, but do not close it. Okay, 72E, view and print grid lines and row and column headings. All right. So grid lines, cell borders, and headings, row numbers, and column letters may or may not be viewed on the monitor or printed on a worksheet. The default settings are to view the headings on the monitor but not print them. Therefore, if you want to print the grid lines or headings, you will need to check the appropriate print checkbox shown in figure 11.4. So here we have the headings and the grid line sheet options. If you do not want to view the grid lines or the headings on the monitor, you will need to deselect the appropriate view checkbox shown in figure 11-4. If needed, open 72D data and follow the path at the left to access the sheet options group. Set the sheet options to view and print the grid lines, but do not view or print the headings. Alright, so over here, back to our 72D data, we're going to click on the Page Layout tab, and then in the Sheet Options group, which is right here, it says to set the setting options to view and print the grid lines, but do not view or print the headings. So we're going to uncheck the headings, and you see what happens, our headings go away. So it says to save this workbook as 72E data. So we're going to go to File, Save As, in Chapter 11, 72E data, and then close it. All right. And we are done with Lesson 72. Save your work and turn it into Schoology.